So, good afternoon, everyone. So good to see all of you, old friends, old colleagues, some new friendships being developed. And I've had a great day in terms of discussing new ideas, collaborating on new solutions, figuring out new ways to work together, and hopefully then we can take all of that to our customers. So that's really the exciting bit. What I want to do in the next few minutes is really talk about where we are putting our investment dollars, where we think the industry is going, as Kevin talked about in the morning. But then, what it means in terms of the strategic direction for Avasant, and how are we positioning ourselves in the new realm of strategic sourcing. So again, many of you have known Avasant for the last 17 years. We've been in business, worked together on so many different deals. For all those 17 years, our singular focus has been really on deal making, deal creation, and deal development. And there's like 4 or 5 major objectives, right? We want to create successful deals for our customers. We want to do creative solutioning. We want to do it in lesser time. And we want to, once you've done the deal, we want to provide better governance through the life cycle of the deal. So the client's happy, you are happy, we are happy as an advisor that deal making or the deal is delivering what it is intended to. Now,
Kevin talked about how the world of strategic sourcing is changing, has already been changing and will continue to change. What we've done is we've been preparing for this for the last 5 years or so, and even more, longer. We've been investing in platforms, solutions, data sets to ensure that we can enable the full deal life cycle. So whether it's right from the new offerings creation, whether it's from creating market eminence for those, whether it's market intelligence or account intelligence that you need, it's growing those accounts, whether it's expanding into existing accounts, farming those, or then optimizing and kind of enabling better value for the customers. What we've done is we've invested a lot into the products, the tool sets, the solutions, so that you can be benefiting from those at every stage of the deal life cycle. Okay? So I'm going to talk a little bit about let me start with research first. So research, of course, many of you have been active participants in our research. We've come a long way in our research. We started our syndicated research, our radar view program about 5 years ago. From the first year when we did 5 radar views, this year we are going to do 60 radar views. And we do that with keeping enterprise buyers as our North Star. We do about 2,500 plus end user interactions every year, and we distill that into our research. You heard that from our fellows, you heard that from our advisors. We augment that also with the vendor briefings. And I know how hard some of you try, or all of you try, to provide us information, to provide us data, to provide us context, so that we can take it back to our end customers, we can educate them on what the capabilities are. So big thank you to all of you for participating in those and sharing and spending time with our analyst on that. But this is super important and critical for our industry, for our business, so that we can educate the client and take them forward on that journey. This is a statistic I'm very proud of, which is 90% of our research and data subscribers are actually end users or buyers of technology. These are end clients. These are your clients, our clients. These also include the influencers. So these are strategy consulting firms. Some of them are also big 4 firms, and they influence these deals. So this is very unique compared to some of the other analyst firms, where most of their subscriber base is actually between the provider community. So this keeps us very honest. It keeps us honest in terms of keeping the enterprises as the North Star, like I said, and ensuring that we are answering questions that matter most to them. Okay? We have big plans. We're doubling down really on the industry coverage. We already publish about 20 plus industry radar views. We're going to do more. We are moving all of them to an annual refresh cycle. So you're going to see a lot more on the industry side. And frankly, because it's so dynamic and we want to go deeper and deeper into the industry specific solutions. So whether it's aerospace and defense, whether it's healthcare payers, providers, retail, manufacturing, and so on. We are also doubling down on the regional market coverage. As some of you may know, we We started with our Middle East coverage a couple of years ago. And this year we've added a few more, and we're going to do more going into Benelux, Nordics, Latin America, and so on. And that again, we want to be partner with you and for our clients to educate them on what's the best in those markets, what are the nuances from those particular markets. And then, of course, needless to say, we've been doubling down on the emerging tech coverage. Last year, we published our service provider index on ESG because clients are asking us capabilities and calls on the service providers when it comes to their investments in ESG and sustainability. And also, of course, Gen AI. I think Kevin showed a chart earlier in terms of what the impact of Gen AI and AI more broadly is going to be on productivity and productivity metrics. We're coming out, in fact, later this month, we're releasing a pretty comprehensive report on what the impact on productivity by different managed services towers is going to be. And some of that is very fascinating. And we'll continue to double down for the coming year. Okay. One other interesting thing that we're in the process of rolling out actually is we're taking all of our 20 years of research, and Jim talked about Gen AI and GPT-5 and so on. We're putting a Gen AI interface on all of our research. Now, of course, our clients are very familiar with utilizing, downloading a PDF, accessing it through a platform, but this is going to take it to the next level. So we put all of our content, all of our research behind this interface. All of this is already live for all Avasant employees, advisors. We are again trying to see how do we fine-tune it, how do we remove the hallucinations and so on. And we're aiming to actually release it to all of our end clients before the end of the year. Okay. So I think with some of you have interacted on benchmarking. This benchmarking, again, is a very pivotal role in the entire life cycle of deal making. Today, we are one of the most comprehensive coverage. We have one of the most comprehensive coverage of benchmarking. So not only do we do the top-down IT spend and staffing benchmarks, we do managed services price benchmarks, we do solution productivity benchmarks, we do salary benchmarks, they're very relevant for captives. We do software hyperscaler benchmarks. So we've built a pretty comprehensive portfolio of different types of benchmarks. And they help our clients. So actually the most important thing is these benchmarks are utilized in every single deal that we do. So right from the strategy phase that we do with our clients to helping them through the transaction life cycle, benchmarks are an integral part. So every single data also feeds back into our benchmarking platform, and that's why the edge that the benchmarking provides is very real, is very impactful. Two things I want to talk about here, the impact of benchmarking. So, like I said, we use it in every single deal. What it does is actually it helps clients reduce the deal cycle time by as much as 40%. We're in fact right now working with a healthcare client where the client wants to go from kind of their intention to outsource to actually signing a contract in 8 weeks flat. And benchmarking is a big part of it because it helps the client get the confidence that the pricing that I'm going to get with the provider is actually in the ballpark, is in the realm of reasonableness. Okay. Now, on the other side, when it's used by service providers, by all of you, we've seen, and this is based on what we've heard back from some of you, is it actually leads to about a 50% improvement in win rates. We've done several of these price to win benchmarks. Service providers are using our benchmarking subscription and feeding this data back into their deals, and both from a net new deals, renewals, expansions, all of that. So this is pretty real, and it's always very heartening to hear that this has been leading and giving more impact, in the deal life cycle that you're pursuing. Okay. The third thing I want to talk about is Strativa Edge. I think Jim was talking a little bit about it. 3 years ago, we acquired a company called Strativa. They had a lot of intelligence and information on software platforms, end clients, and so on. What we've been working on for the past 3 years is actually taking all of that data, combining that with our radar view data, combining that with our metrics data, benchmarking data, and creating the next-gen account intelligence platform. So this is truly a remarkable offering that we've launched. It's been used by several clients to really enable strategic selling. Now, I think all of you do sales, all of you are working on market enablement. So you're familiar with account intelligence. But this is a real-time, platform-led approach to account intelligence. So what you get into this is we are combining the machine learning algorithms. We're looking at a lot of public data. We're looking at mining all of our existing data, but putting an analyst curation on top of it. And that's all available by vertical for specific accounts in a real-time platform-led manner. And each of those accounts gives you access to several different intelligence units. These could be what's the landscape when it comes to providers. This could be landscape of how they're using technology. This could be their financials. This is their benchmarks. This is their spend patterns. This is their captives. So anything and everything that account is doing, right from the business and strategic priorities to how they're spending tech dollars, is all enabled through this platform. And all curated by the analyst insights. So this is just not machines throwing some data back at you, but then it's been curated by our analysts. So, and how we're linking it to strategic selling really is that we're tracking all the technology prerequisites, right from AI, analytics, blockchain, and so on, to again identify where the opportunities lie for our end customers. Another angle to this is our Global Capabilities Centers platform. Now, through our Global Equations investment about 10, 12 years ago, we've been tracking the global talent, global centers, but again, we've unlocked this data as part of the GCC intelligence platform, which gives you real-time coverage. On a monthly basis, it updates the headcounts, it updates how their investments and cost points are, and it tracks about 2 million plus GCC headcount today, and it's only growing. So this is also available and used both by us when we are helping our clients in terms of setting up of their GCCs, benchmarking them against the growth, the cost points, the investments, and so on. Okay. Tech innovators. I think this is the most exciting coverage really on the emerging tech area. Kevin spoke about the big tech, which we already cover to quite an extent. But there are a lot of these VC, PE-backed companies started by first-time founders, serial entrepreneurs. What we launched earlier this year, is a dedicated coverage on tech innovators. So these are really on all the technology prerequisites ranging from advanced networks to AI, to blockchain, to cybersecurity, to AR, VR, to holograms, and so on. And this program has really helped aimed at identifying these moonshots, these up-and-comers, both serving the enterprise needs in terms of where the next level of disruption lies, as well as from a service provider perspective on who could be the next generation of partners, competitors, and so on. So this is really a discovery, and we're very excited with these briefings because they're really opening up the eyes for all of our analysts, all of the advisors on what's the art of the possible. Okay. So I spoke about a few things which help in the deal, full deal life cycle. So whether it's creating new offerings or eminence through the radar views program or the market intelligence that the radar views enable, benchmarking, which helps you win the deal, close the deal. But then once you've done the deal, are we really able to manage it well? And are we really able to track the innovation promise and the cost promise that we laid out? So again, as the deals have become more complex, they do require strategic governance. And as our research shows, you can lose up to 50 to 60% of the value of that deal. So it's really important from the get-go to manage that deal proactively, independently, and with clear metrics and data. So again, several of you may know, we've had this Avasant platform for the last 10 years. What we have done in the last 2 years is also enabled a ServiceNow-led platform, because many of our clients have moved to big tech, they have ServiceNow, and this provides them a single pane of glass on managing these complex relationships that they have with you. And from a provider perspective, it really gives the transparency, the single pane of glass, so that when the monthly reviews, the quarterly reviews come around, there's no surprises. So you're able to manage the deal more proactively rather than being hit by surprises. It really brings together all of our experience and history and knowledge of these intelligent workflows, the best practice processes, and then creating and presenting them to the clients as intelligent dashboards. So again, all of these, the few of the tool sets that I talked about are really invested, are really designed to invest in the full deal life cycle. So we want to meet you every point in the life cycle of the deal. We have assets, we have data products that can do the deal enablement, reduce the deal kind of cost, the cycle time, and all of that. So now all of these are good, but how do we use this in a typical consulting life cycle? And to do that, I want to invite my dear colleague, rockstar dealmaker, Matt, to talk about how we embed this in every single engagement that we do, right from strategy to governance and the full life cycle. So Matt.
Testing? No. Do any of these work? So what I want to do, the things that Akshay and his team have been working on have been pretty amazing, but I want to overlay that with the things that we do every day and give you guys a little bit of a picture of why the product side of this is becoming a more and more pivotal part of what it is that we do. So if you think of our DNA and how we sort of are looking at ourselves as we go forward, clearly the management consulting space is a space we're going to continue to invest in. It's not a space we're getting out of. But we've continually built up our benchmarking. We've continually built up our contract management IP. We obviously built a ton of information around the research and the radar views that he covered, as well as our legal and risk offerings. But it's all, at the end of the day, supported by these products that Akshay and his labs team build. And what I wanted to paint is a little bit of a picture of what do we do, and then how do these products overlay them over that life cycle of the deal with the client. Okay, so if you were to look at one page of everything that we do at Avasant, this is the way that we're looking at the consulting and the advisory side. On the strategy offerings, we really break it down into 6 categories. And the strategy is when a client has no idea what they want to do. So there's lots of metrics that you can get to give a client guidance as to where and what they do and what the best opportunities are and how to size and prioritize those things. But the key 6 areas that we'll focus our strategy work on is in the strategic sourcing space, obviously, which is in our DNA. We've done that a long time. There may be cost optimization, which could involve cost takeouts or reorganization. Those are very, very common. We do revenue and markets, which could involve things like M&As or carve-outs or private equity optimization. We do digital transformation, both on the IT side and on the business process side. We're doing a significant amount of shared services, which leads to a lot of consolidation and a lot of vendor sourcing opportunities as well. And we've obviously stood up in the last year and a half a lot of the supply chain practice. So when a client doesn't know what they want to do, we lead with a strategy. When a client knows what they want to do, it could be any one of those pieces that you see within the design phase. So anything that fits within that design phase. And what we ideally want to do as sourcing advisors is I want to come in with a strategic sourcing strategy, and I want that strategy to end up in maybe there's a competitive bid, maybe there's going to be a merger, maybe we're going to have some technology takeout. I want 4 or 5 or 6 different projects to really deliver the full value to that client. So the key in our strategy offering is about taking that strategy and recommending all of the pieces that we can design and you guys can really help implement and we can govern over the period of time. So one last picture, and I'll get us out of here, maybe a minute early. The 4 phases that we talked about, that sort of strategy phase, few different products really come into play there. Akshay talked about Avamark. Obviously up front, the computer economics, this is where we look at the entire spend categories, their spend allocations, their ratios. even everything as high as their salaries. Are they overpaying their people? Are they underpaying their people? Are they over-investing in certain areas and are they under-investing in other areas? So all of that data that sits in computer economics and Avamark and our strategic edge is very relevant in the strategy when you're looking at things like your enterprise spend, when you're looking at things like your ratios, when you're looking at things like how do I compare against my peers. As we get into a transaction or more of a design or a solution design phase, you start to see some of these other platforms that Akshay has built come into play. The tech innovators really allow us to piece together point solutions inside a deal. Radar View allows us to pick the best fit service providers to align them to the people who are buying in the market. Global Equations helps us in identifying which locations they may want to invest in order to build a more diversified global delivery system. And then as we get into implementation, things like our Avasant that we reviewed a little bit earlier, which helps govern and helps oversee transitions, oversee transformations successfully. And as we get into the governance, then naturally our Avasant, our Avamark, and our Strategic Edge platforms all play a role here. So the key to understand is that this is not just management consulting anymore. It's management consulting backed by data, backed by information at every stage in the life cycle, from the inception of the deal all the way to the closure and the realization of the value of that deal. And we have products that support each and every one of those stages along the way. And Akshay and his team have done a phenomenal job at ideating those things that we didn't even know we needed. And we put those in front of a client and they start seeing all of these pieces that we add value along the way. And it really has been a game changer for us to build credibility with the client and to know what to do next.